That's where I believe we are headed. We're going to head to the last mile delivery being a profit center for players who have the demand, who have the volume to support it.
Welcome to Deliver, the last mile performance podcast where we explore what it takes to operate, scale, and differentiate in today's market. I'm Guy Block, I'm your host for today, and I'm the CEO of Brink.
And I'm Raquel Zanoni. Together, Guy and I chat with some of today's most knowledgeable retail and logistics leaders to discuss the last mile, specifically how it's evolving and what success looks like.
So in this episode, we actually going to talk to Ali Kamil, expert associate partner at McKinsey. And Ali's work centers on helping global carriers, shippers, retailers to really modernize operations through technology adoption and process redesign.
What really stood out to me about the conversation was how change management is often that first step to seeing last mile success. I come from an implementation background, and from what I see, organizations often underestimate that need for intentional, staged change management. Guy, what was your biggest takeaway?
My biggest takeaway that last mile is no longer a cost center. It comes up on investor calls as a growth drivers. And retailers can evolve last mile through small executable pilots where success depends on a few key factors.
All right, but let's not give too much away. Listen in for the full interview.
So Ali, it's so good to have you here. We've been working together for so many years. We had so many conversations over the years. We both together looked at how last mile evolved from what it used to be like 10 years ago to what it is today, which is cutting edge in so many ways. And I'm so happy that you're joining this podcast. This is like our first episode, and we thought like, who could be the best person? Well, it's a person that was actually an operator, came from AIT. You did your years as a founding team, part of the founding team with Y System. You solved those biggest problems in terms of last mile optimizations. But then with McKinsey, and all those years now that you work with so many clients and the biggest clients, and everyone looks at last mile differently, and you're like so deep into it. So my first question to you to kick it off, why so many years, 10 years, more than 10 years in your career, and it's all devoted into last mile? What pulled you in? Why last mile?
Yeah. No, well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure. And this is I see this as a fun part of the work. Other parts are fun too, but just interacting and exploring and having a very intellectual and deep discussion on a topic we both love and enjoy. And that's to answer your question. I think that's the reason why I have spent almost over a decade in this space, because last mile is one component of the logistics supply chain. However, it is the most complex. It is seen as a cost center, and the complexity drives that. We run towards complexity as people who are focusing on solving the hardest problems. It is one of the hardest problems in logistics, and that's why if you solve that for our clients, formerly for our customers and now for our clients, that's where we see I derive that value of the work that we do. And I think that's what keeps me engaging, because there are so many elements of the last mile, of the just not just last mile, just the orchestration that's required, the complexity that drives it, that each use case is you can spend a lifetime in that. So I feel that is what keeps me coming back. It is a complex problem. It is why we are here, where we are solving that for our customers. And when we see that they see the potential and the benefit that they derive from it, I think that's the aha moment that we all strive for.
It's fun moments, right? Those aha moments. I think those are the best moments in any engagement with a customer, where they see the value realization just unfolding in front of their eyes. And obviously for you, it's important. I think everyone can see that last mile for Ali at McKinsey is super important. And I wonder, when you go out there and we meet so many different clients, and some of them are more into it and engage and they have a strategy, some are less. What do you feel like? Do people see it as important as you see it? Like when you like, you sit with CEOs, you sit with CFOs, with chief supply chain of large retailers, looking at that problems. Do you see a different perspective of how they look at that versus how you look at that?
I think what has changed in the past, in the over the years that I've seen, I think there is a change in perception, right? So initially, when we started, when I started with Wise, and before that, even the conversations were, it was seen as a cost center. That, okay, I need to provide this service for our customers, but it's a cost center, and I don't see much benefit. But that thinking has evolved. That thinking has changed, and that's where our clients and the leaders that we interact with, and you as well, and as we interact with our clients, is that's where that 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 view of it as a cost center has evolved to seeing that this is a service, this is an impact that can drive greater revenue growth going forward. I think that is the switch that happened, and it's easy to say that the COVID had an impact, but I do think it is that COVID was one of the major impact driver for it, because we were all at home and we wanted to get deliveries quickly, rapidly, and companies who were best prepared for that really thrived during that space. And I think that's where, and companies didn't have it, they had to rejig and provide the service very, very quickly. So that's where I feel that has had an impact, where that mindset has changed, that we need to provide this capability, this is the customers, that's the expectation, and we need to meet that bar. Otherwise customers are going to go to somewhere else, some other retailer, or an online e-commerce.
I'm totally with you. I'm actually also, following, as we're following the different earnings calls and the earnings investor calls that retailers are doing out with their investors and the analysts. You're hearing that now coming back again and again in literally investor calls and earnings reports, where our retailers, CEOs, actually talk about last mile in the conversations with the investors, actually highlighting how last mile is strategic growth driver for them. Everyone now talks about last mile. In so many ways, I feel like last mile is moving over the years, has been moving from the basement to just the boardroom. It just got a place at the boardroom, and all the executives paying attention to that. At what point you felt that change? When did you feel like it's actually changing within your clients?
It's all, I feel this it's in the latter half of the past 10 years. I would say the last 3 to 4 years, that mentality is has changed, where it's become a boardroom topic, that we need to provide this capability. Because I think there were, after the COVID incidents, there were a lot of research work that was done into this, like how, or how our customers' expectations have changed. And one of the things that I shared earlier with you as well is that, if, and it's something that's very personal as well, that the research found that about 80% of the people, if they have one bad experience, delivery experience, from a retailer, online retailer, or they're likely not to go back to that retailer again, and off, or look at alternatives. The market is super competitive, and that's where I think where we feel that this research, along with many others, have reinforced the importance of why, like, last mile is one of the critical components. That's a critical growth driver. It's not just a cost center. That you see this as, it is complex, it is expensive, but you need this to provide this, to retain the customers, to provide this, the service that they come to have expect over the years.
So what you're saying is that last mile is not the end, is the mean to an end. The real end here is the promise. You make a promise to a customer, the customer trusts you, he selects that, and now he's in the waiting mode. The big question is, will you knock on the door at the time that you promised him, or would you do it before, after, or maybe you would not do it alone? So what you're saying is that promise became the heart of commerce.
100%. And we know of the retailers who have weaponized this model. who have essentially, and we know, talk about the big retailers like Amazon, who have provided that 2-3 day or same day service. It is an expectation. It has become an expectation for customers to have that level of service. And that promise, once you have a company that's setting a bar, everyone else has to meet that or at least strive towards it. So 100%, I think it's the promise that we have all as customers come to expect. And retailers who can keep that is where we keep going back to.
It's pretty amazing to listen to that, and then for you and I think all of us here, that's the thing that we experience day in, day out in the work we do with customers. The promise became the heart of the C-suite. Yes, everyone else coming in to help as a mean to an end and stand up the most efficient and top performing last mile operations. But in the end of the day, it's all about that promise. And I wonder that because the promise, it's actually how customers value that promise. Because if the customer don't value that, then why would you even do it? But because they give it so much value and so much attention, that's why it became the center for last mile. So I wonder, when you engage with customers as they are coming into the world of last mile, understanding they need to do something different, what are the misconceptions that you hear and you feel like you want to stop it and actually start with re-educating on how customers value the promise?
Yeah, so I think that is the key. I think, and I think we talked earlier in this conversation that the mindset has changed. That it's not seen as a cost center now. It's a growth driver. It's a topic that's in the boardroom. The change into how we execute it is what still evolving. I feel that we are not there yet, where customers are seeing that, okay, we need this, but they still feel that it is highly complex and it is highly challenging. And that's where, to be honest, that's where where our expertise comes in handy, where we help our clients in helping identify what are the steps that are necessary to provide that promise and to keep that promise for your customers. So I think that thinking of how do we execute on this vision of providing like reliable 2-3 day same day service, and can we keep that in a low cost effective manner? Because I think there is seen as the iron triangle, that service, price, and quality. And that's where can we do we have to compromise or on any of it? And I think that's where the thinking is still evolving. I feel that the customers are still seeing that, okay, how do I actually go about it to execute this? Do I need the resources of an Amazon to do this? Or do I need to get to have my own internal fleet on all this? But these are hard questions. That's where I think we engage with them, on a daily basis.
So in a way, you're saying, Ali, that the misconceptions is in the way they even engage the promise and how to, on one end, want to make those promises as a competitive differentiators for their customers, but at the same time, be able to stand against those promises and deliver that. Otherwise, it erodes their brand and reputation, etc. So in so many ways, the misconception are, first of all, delivery is important. It moved from the basement to the boardroom. It's no longer a cost center.
Yeah, no
You
longer.
guys
Yeah.
need to have a strategy pointed at that and lead it from top down, which means it's an ELT conversation.
Yeah.
So that's the first one. I think the second one, and what I'm hearing from you, is don't try to do it alone, on your own, right? Try to connect. You don't need to build an empire of assets, and every asset needs to be yours. In a way, it's a digitized world. So how do you take advantage of the ecosystem and bring all those pieces that can allow you orchestrate the most efficient or the most exceptional customer experience in the most efficient way?
No, exactly. I think that it is an intimidating undertaking. that we have done the hard part, or at least that realization that, okay, this is a boardroom topic. It's an important topic that we need to pursue on, provide this
That
level of
that's
capability.
table stake.
But how do we go from?
Without that, if
Mhm.
you don't do that, you will just get engaged by the board, and you'll get questions at that meeting that you will not be able to address, especially when you talk about e-commerce and how competitive it is. But sorry, keep on going.
Yeah. No, I think that's exactly where the conversation is there. Now, how do we actually go from an idea to execution? That's where I feel you don't have to do it on your own. Like if you're a retailer, if you're an e-commerce platform providing this, there are capabilities out there that you can partner. You and there you are, it's important to understand the process. Like, what would it take for us to provide a reliable promise to our customers and keep it, given that, and what's the resources requirements. And that's where I think you have to go around methodically, and we see this with our clients as well, and your customers, where they have thought about it. Maybe they start in a small focused area, and we love to dive into how you actually can go about it as well. But typically what we see is that they it's important to partner, to think about what would it take to meet that promise and meet that delivery, and then what are the steps you need to do to take to reach that level, to reach that goal.
So, Ali, I think you've mentioned there's a shift in perception of the last mile being a cost center. Now it's more of a differentiator. And we've talked a lot about consumer expectations, specifically around predictability, accuracy. I mean, I personally know that if I don't get something exactly when I think I'm going to get it, I probably won't order from that brand again.
Yeah.
Are there, drawing on that thread of execution you mentioned, are there retailers or brands today that you think, you don't have to name any, that you think are executing this particularly well? And how are they doing it from a technology perspective? What do you think's behind that?
One, it's understanding that it is going to be a value driver. I think that's where they're, but there is that's easy to recognize. I mean, I would say it is easy to recognize that yes, we need to do this, but the hard part is understanding that there is some investment required to do this. There is going to be a step-by-step change management process, and especially in the industry that we operate in, supply chain logistics, because it's a daily activity, daily exercise, that from starting from your leadership to on the ground personnel, they have been doing this for many years. Logistics is not a new industry, so some habits, some approaches have been entrenched. That mindset shift, that change management, is our biggest challenge that I see in across the board, from starting from the leadership to the ground personnel. And I think there are companies that have addressed it well, and they do this by, one, recognizing that yes, it is going to be a core part of our offering. Two, it's going to require investment. It's not. It's going to require investment and thought leadership and change management and perseverance, because the initial aspect is going to be, you're going to encounter resistance, like traditionally any big innovation has had. It's going to be some resistance. You have to persevere. You have to clarify. You have to provide the value. And companies who do this, and once they have the recognition, investment, change management, and then perseverance to do this, achieve that goal. And we have several companies who have and we are partnered with, as well as something that we have not we observe, who have seen that value once they have gone through that stages of deployment.
And kind of touching on the pieces you mentioned, so change management, thought leadership. Let's say you are a retailer who is now fully bought into the last mile as a differentiator. Uh, where do you start to now become some of these bigger brands that we've been hinting at? Where do you focus your efforts from a technology perspective so that you can be in 5 to 10 years differentiated in the market?
Yeah, I mean, I would actually say that it is, the focus should be very targeted. That let's 5 to 10 years is the vision, but let's start 6 months where we need to rapidly deploy. And the the key thing is like it can be very intimidating to say that, okay, we're going to provide like a 3-day service. I'm making this up. I'm a furniture delivery operator. I big and bulky delivery. I want to provide a 3 to 5 day delivery. Big and bulky delivery for, for those, it takes time to procure, to load, and all this is a complex operation. But if I want to provide a same week or delivery, that's going to be a differentiator on this. Let's say if you were to do this, what is it going to take for me to do this? So mapping out the processes, companies who have done well is that they have taken out every atomic action that happens in every step, to from inception, from order placement to fulfillment, and mapping this out, and how are we going to do this, and mapping and clearly defining the process, where technology is going to play a role, where training is going to play a role, what are the going to be the KPIs we're going to track, and that's like the first step. Second step, a lot of these companies start very, very small. They start with a like a contained locality, with a 2 month or 3 month pilot with a subset of drivers. If I have 30 drivers in my facility, I'm going to start with 5, and I'm going to start with these zip codes or postal codes, and that's the service we're going to provide. And we're going to bring customers into this as well, that we're going to provide the visibility that we're going to try the service with you. This is the promise. We're going to do 5 days, but this is a something trial. And some companies, and a company that we have worked with as well, as have provided that sort of visibility, transparency. This is a trial service. We're going to provide 5 days. If we are delayed, we're going to offer like some sort of a discount or a coupon to you, because something that for you to be in that partner program. And I think that's the way to start small, to learn, adapt, and then go gradually increase the aperture to a broader service. And that's why I think companies who have done this have followed a similar blueprint, in my experience.
So there's a bit of a crawl, walk, run approach then as
100%.
you're
Yeah.
looking to. So you mentioned this other piece of KPIs. I want to pull on that a little bit, because I think what we often see is there's a little bit of a balance between customer satisfaction, what the customer wants in their experience, and the cost of doing business. So as it relates to, customers, or excuse me, brands that are trying to really enhance their last mile offering, what should they focus on? Should they focus on having an amazing customer experience at potentially the cost of very high operational back end, or should they try to find that balance? And how does that align to that crawl, walk, run approach you mentioned?
Yeah. So I think great, excellent question. I think it all drives from your what is the culture and the vision of the organization, right? So if an organization, one of the organizations I worked with, very intimate customer experience, in-store experience, like something that you really engage with, and not even just buying stuff, but just spending the time. And that's something that their brand they have built over the years. For them, replicating that to a delivery experience, and it seems very orthogonal to say that how can you mimic this in-store experience to delivery experience, but it's not. You have to pull on the strings to say what are the key aspects that really drive that emotional response from customers, and can we bring that to delivery? Can we bring that to service experience? That I'm delivering a mattress, and pretty standard delivery, but what is it that we can excel at? So for them, that's where the KPIs drew from, that how can we drive that customer experience, and whatever it takes, whatever the cost is not a function, it's the customer experience that was a driver for them. Now, similarly, I had another a client who was more of a construction products, the building products material, and for them it was a different aspect. The timing was super critical. Like we had to be there at a certain point. Otherwise, the machines are not going to the staff is not going to be able to start the function. So timing was super critical, and visibility as well. And you can argue that that's also an aspect of customer experience, but it was a little different in the sense that instead of providing that very nice look and feel, you get a text message, your delivery is going to be at this time, and you engage and provide that sort of end-to-end visibility. So for organizations that we engage with, we want to identify the key KPIs that are lined up with the culture and the vision of the organization, and then marry that to the key core KPIs of what it was going to take for the last mile function, or for this function to excel. Right. So it could be cost, sure. It could be the delivery promise, as Guy mentioned, or it could be it's like more excellent customer experience. So I would say it ties to that, to your vision of the organization first and foremost.
Interesting. So when you look at CEOs that are in the position to make a decision, do we go into change management, or maybe we choose to do nothing and stay as we are today? They're obviously looking at the ROI. What is the ROI that you see that they are tracking? And then when the project gets on its course and goes live, what are the ROI or the KPIs that they really take pride of?
I think the KPIs, that's one, the biggest driver is the customer satisfaction. I think and it is one of those customer satisfaction tying to ROI. I think there has been that's also a little bit of mindset that a shift that has happened is that if you have happy customers, that's going to drive consistent loyalty and driving. So the two things that a lot of the leaders we interact with, they track customer satisfaction, and then persistence and loyalty. Like how often is Ali ordering, and how often is he keeps coming back, right? So there is this loyalty aspect, and that's a core metric, I feel, that and I've seen that these leaders track, because that justifies that investment and excelling at last mile operation. Because yes, it is a cost, it is something that you have to invest in, but if you can drive customer loyalty, customer satisfaction, that's closely tied to revenue growth. So that's one KPI that they absolutely track. Yeah.
So obviously, technology has a big role here, right? We're not going to see just people doing so many orders at scale manually. Technology plays a role. AI, machine learning, big buzzwords coming into the industry. Customers are looking at that. Maybe they get confused. What's the role of technology here, and how do you see the evolution of AI and machine learning actually takes a role here?
Yeah, no, I think technology, I think that's of course has a major role to play. In the, like any function, though, I do think uh, it is starting. It's not a technological a solution, right? It's a understanding your vision, your goals, and how you want to drive that sort of promise, and then technology becomes an enabler. Like, can I provide my visibility to my customers when the customers go or online to order a sofa? Can I get can I give them a delivery window at that point that aligns with their schedule, and maybe provide that additional like capability of like just different slots that meet my, as a customer, my flexibility, like provide flexibility to me, right? So that's the kind of the capabilities I feel that technology can enable, that we've already seen this. These are that you provide visibility, you provide you provide like in terms of notification, the flexibility. um AI too is just another evolution of that. AI in fact, I feel is helping more on the delivery drivers and the operators. For the customers, though, the very little changes, at least more recently. For now, I'm providing my orders. Maybe I'm getting a flexibility. I'm getting the text message. I'm getting my visibility where my driver is, when I can expect the delivery. It's my operators. Like if I am a delivery, I have a company. I'm a retailer with a delivery function. I have a co-pilot for drivers who are telling me where I should go next. It's helping me where do I need to park, when do I need to inform the customer that I'm on the way. If I'm running a little late, be proactively adjusting my schedule. These are areas that I'm seeing technology really driving impact for the operators. So the big cost of operation is going to gradually start coming down, because you're going to have automated dispatcher capabilities. You have automated notification adjustment capability that's going to emerge and already emerging, that I've seen as well. So to me, that's where AI and tech is going to make this, the cost of operation is going to quickly shrink, because you're bringing this automation in this space, and that while keeping the level of the service and experience that customers have come to expect.
When we think of that crawl, walk, run approach, that to me sort of falls into maybe the running, where we're really thinking about optimization. We're really thinking about balancing cost and customer experience. Are there other elements that fall into that run approach, things that are kind of interesting within last mile that you see retailers doing from a technology perspective once they're up and running, once they're sort of known for being best in class, that they're now, accelerating into?
Yeah, great question. I think the one area which, once you start, to crawl, you're focusing on change management. You're making sure you have the right structure and systems in place. Like walking, you're building the customers and you're learning and all this. Once you get to the run stage, that the opportunities open up. Then the diversity of areas where you could go into is also that's an exciting space where you can start realizing the value. And some of the things that's super exciting for me, and I know something that Guy is also passionate about, is that you start evaluating that we have access capacity. We have that we are not if I am an operator, if I'm running my network of deliveries, I know that my vehicles have additional capacity that I can accommodate. It could come from additional orders, of course. It could come from we can always get more customers. But however, can we partner with other players who maybe not in the same industry, but we can provide this as a revenue generating option. So delivery becomes more of like you're providing access capacity and you're selling it to other operators in the space. So this network of model is something that's super exciting, and that's something that we have seen in the U.S. and some European countries as well. And I'd love to get a guy's opinion as well here, because that's where I feel that's the future. Which once you get to that run stage, the opportunities open up for you, and I think that's where a lot of them are exploring in this space, especially the network model.
Yeah, I'll jump in because this is a topic we discuss a lot, and we also we see that with the cutting edge retailers that really took delivery to the next level, moving from a cost center to a break even center, and actually creating a revenue line around that. But the basic is, first of all, you want to connect to all the third parties out there. Just make sure you have full coverage. Once you have it, you start understanding the economics of the different zones and zip codes and regions and territories. And it's very easy for you to start understanding where it makes sense to stand up your own drivers, where it makes sense to lean on a third party, and move into a hybrid approach. Once you have that, in so many ways, you created a network of assets that, those assets are available to serve the demand that you create. At that point, technology also has a limit to how much they can optimize it. The best way to move from that point into further optimization is simply bring more scale into the network and serve demand of others. And we see it with customers that, like, Coop made it very famous out there with the package app, and these days on the same technology and the same last mile operations. They serve the SMBs and the mid market um, retailers of the UK in every different zone. So I think this is where we move from what we discussed at the beginning of deliveries moving from the basement to the boardroom. That's it. It's a
Yeah.
topic. Everyone wants to talk about it because without that, guess what? More than 50% of e-commerce is owned by two Goliath, but by Walmart and by Amazon. The only way to stand up and really fight or stand up and really compete effectively against them is just to give the same promise that they give, even better promises, and do it in the most efficient way to really deliver that. But once you're there, the secret sauce becomes the demand that you serve from others, and by that, you're really creating a network. Um, Ali, this is a fast. I feel like Raquel, we can keep on going with Ali forever. He brings so much, practical experience from being the operator and now being the advisor. But two quick questions. First of all, you look like 5 years from now. Don't even go to 10 years. This world is moving so fast. How do you see the world is changing in terms of customer expectations, and how do you feel those changes or that evolution eventually will influence the way retailers think?
Yeah, no, I think it's I can definitely go on for much longer. It's always fun talking about this topic. I think we are seeing parts of the evolution happening in front of us. I think there are leading retailers who are investing in I think the customer experience, but now focusing on, because they have been running. I talked about crawl, walk, run. They have been running into this for a couple of years now. And now looking to optimize operations. Now it could be through operational rigor, bringing in, or it could be new technology capabilities in it, like electric vehicles, like drone deliveries. I think 5 years, a few years from now, I think what I see from the industry is that this is going to become a fact. This is going to become a reality. It's not just going to be a boardroom conversation. It's going to be like table stakes. It already is, in my opinion, that if you are an online or retailer or an e-commerce player or in this space, you have to provide this level of service. Otherwise, you're not going to survive. So it is that adapt or die personality, that approach that we mentioned earlier, that they have to adapt. And I think 5 years from now, we'll see that it's going to be a norm, and that's where a lot of them will be running towards, like, optimizing their operations, not just experimenting with it. They would have deployed this. They would have meant that's like keeping the customer promise is going to be table stakes. But how can we optimize? How can we now have built this last mile economics, as Guy articulated, that last mile economics? How can I optimize it? How can I build this network? Where can I have my captive drivers? Where can I rely on third party operators in this space? And I think that's where the evolution is happening. And I think tech is going to play a core part in it, where the driver experience, the customer experience, the delivery, uh, the delivery promise, the driver experience to the last few feet, right? We talk about
Yeah.
last mile. It's the last few feet that's going to also be very, very critical. And I think that's where, like, where do I park? When do I go there? When do I engage with the recipient from the retailer side, who's when I'm delivering to a business, right? So these are areas that's going to become very common. We'll start seeing this sort of reality.
Amazing. The world will be completely digitized. We'll have robots sending everything everywhere. And we'll be just happy people because whatever promises they made, they stood up to that and they didn't disappoint us, which is great. So, Ali, what will separate the winners from the laggards, those that will stay behind?
Yeah, so I think the winners, and we are already seeing this, is you, and it's not just the last mile, that the it's the adapting, learning, and changing is what separates the winners from the laggards. And I think this is not and this is a very I see this everywhere, of course, that for specifically last mile, the reality is that customers, their two big players have set the bar. We can get intimidated and say that we cannot ever do that. But there are capabilities. There are partners out there. There are companies that are providing the capabilities and tools for you to exceed that expectation. So learning and adapting and striving for that is what is going to separate the laggards from the winners. And I think for specifically last mile, the smaller scale. I mean, the two big Goliaths have scale, have reach, but they have also challenges. Smaller scale brings advantages. You can move faster. You can experiment. You can bring the customer in, and I think that's where the success is going to be. Where the recipients, and I'm actually open when when a one of their local companies wanted to experiment with drone deliveries. I signed up. I'm like, all right, this is exciting for me. Again, that was drone, but bring the customers in. Bring the customers into your plan. That this is what we are doing. Capability we may miss, but we're going to provide that extra care for you, and you're going to be part of the partner program. I think that's what brings your customers in to do this. I think that's the kind of philosophy for smaller retailers have to adapt. That this is a reality. We can move faster. We can provide greater service and set the standard, and then optimize. And because once you get to that run stage, you can optimize and make it a profit center rather than a cost center. Because that's where I believe we are headed. We're going to head to the last mile delivery being a profit center for players who have the demand, who have the volume to support it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we covered a lot in this episode. And if those that are listening to us will leave with, guys, it's important. It's already discussed at every executive meeting. It has impact on conversions and on returning customers and lifetime value and revenue and cost. It's important. Make it important. Make a strategy behind it. That's very important. Understand that it behaves like any other market or any other economy or any other network. As long as we can digitize, connect that, we can manage that. And we can manage that to perfection, find the most efficient way to create exceptional and personalized customer experience. It's a data game. The most important thing is you're not alone in it, as you said, Ali. There's so many partners that want to collaborate and want to come together, whether your peers in the industry or from other industry, if it's tech providers, everyone wants to come together in order to collaborate and be able to stand up to the Goliath just together, just in a collaborative way. Promise is important. Promise is critical. We talked about orchestration. We talked about monetization, but also density, diversification. Those are areas that need to have decisions by the CEOs, by the executive team that's steering that direction. And then in the end of the day, it's a change management. Get out of your comfort zone. Stay small. Do it in a small contained environment. Get out of the comfort zone. Get into forming that new environment. Feel the storm. Build all the capabilities and the functionalities that you need in order to be strong, and then just perform. Just over time, it will continue performing itself. Ali, advice for retailers, logistics provider here on the phone, like this magic wand, like a magical advice from you?
I don't know. It's magical, but I think evolve. I think that's one I would say that they have to evolve and adapt. Otherwise, it's going to be a rough road ahead. I think that's, and I don't mean to be negative, but I think, and I see this happening already. But evolution is important. Change management is necessary, and companies who change, adapt, have staying power. And it's not just with any like just last month. Like evolve, adapt, and change towards the future, because that is what's already here, and that's what the customers are expecting.
Yeah, I would say exactly that, and I will add just on top of that, just sense of urgency. The market is moving fast at the speed of light, especially because it's being pulled by the customers themselves and the expectations. Sense of urgency. It's a journey. That's not a sprint. It's not a plug and play. A lot of decisions to make. Very fun place. A lot of room for creativity and impact. Like 50% of the cost of logistics is last mile. There's so much room for driving efficiencies and turning areas that are obstacles or challenges into opportunities. Ali, thank you so much. That was fascinating. First episode together. Raquel, it's fun to be with you out on the field, but here we are here together on the Zoom. Thank you so much for both of you. That was an insightful episode.
Thank you, yeah, it's great. It's a great discussion.